We welcome to the Bima our past presidents, Don Kent, Emily Hacker, Wendy Goldberg, Sari Shear, Steve Shore, Stephanie Kanarak, Eliza Brosgold, Susan Jones, Mickey Rindler, Bill Abrams, Jerry Arbitier, Julie Solomon, and Sarah King. All shall be forgiven, the entire community of Israel, and the stranger who lives in their midst, for all who have gone astray in error. Moses prayed to God, as you have been faithful to this people ever since Egypt, please forgive their failings now, in keeping with your boundless love.
Vayomer Adonai, salachti kidvarecha. Vayomer Adonai, salachti kidvarecha. Vayomer Adonai, salachti kidvarecha.
We turn to the Baruch Hu, page 22, and we rise.
Adonai Hamevorach, Baruch Adonai Hamevorach, Leolam Vaed.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah potech she'arim, u'bitvuna meshane itim, u'machalif et hazmanim, u'misader et hakohavim b'mishmarotehem barakia kirtono, borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. U'ma'avir yom u'mevi layla, u'mavdil bein yom u'vein layla, Adonai tzevaot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim.
Ahavat olam et Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, chokim u'mishpat, דרכך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו לאורך ימינו ובהם נגי יומם ולילה, נגי יומם ולילה. לאהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל. We rise for the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha ve'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam ve'shivtecha b'veitecha uviatlechtecha b'aderech uv'shochdecha uv'kumecha וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת.
We turn to page 38 and we read together, Truth and faith, these are fundamental to our existence. God alone is their source, and we are Israel, a people of God. Our sovereign saves us from tyranny, redeems us from its violence through countless wonders, from its brutality through great feats beyond measure. We are Israel, a people of God, the giver of life, who would not let our feet give way, the maker of miracles for us against Pharaoh, of signs and portents in the land of Egypt, the one who brought our people Israel from its midst to enduring freedom. Witness to this heroic might, the people thanked and praised God by name, freely accepting the reign of heaven. Then Moses and Miriam and all Israel sang to you this song of utter joy.
Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedor b'kodesh, urat yinot osefele. Malechutecha ra'u banecha, ukiyom lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, zili anu ve'ameru Adonai
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom. Bless our sleep with peace, Adonai, and awaken us to life when we rise. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukkot shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed One, you spread over us a canopy of peace, a shelter of shalom over all Israel, your people, and over Jerusalem. We turn now to the Amidah on page 46. Please rise.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agit tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, El Gadol HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Emot, U'Mevii Geula Libnei Bneihem, Leman Shemo Ve'Avo Zokreno Lechaim, Melech Haaretz Achayim, Echutenu B'Sefer HaChaim, Lemoncha Elohim Chaim, 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 Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Be'ezrat Sarah, Amen. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol atah Rav le'Hoshia, Morit hatal, Mechakel Chaim v'chesed, Mechayei HaKol berachamim rabim, Tzomech noflim rafei cholim u'matir asurim, U'mekayem emunato Ishenei afar, Michamucha bal gevorot u'midu melach, Melech mimit u'mechayeh u'matzmiach Yeshua, Michamocha El harachamim zocher yitzurav, לחיים ברחמים, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני לחיי הכל. Amen.
Please be seated. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalalucha selah. You are holy. Your name is holy. Seekers of holiness praise you day by day. Selah. We pause for silent prayer. For me, growing up, there were unspoken rules about letting other people know that you were Jewish. Did you have this? I did a kind of performance art of never being too Jewish. In my mind, the rules were like, do go hiking, don't say kugel. Do have an LL Bean backpack, don't have frizzy hair. Do go to all of your friends' Christmas parties, don't ever bother explaining why you don't have a Christmas tree. Do everything just like everyone else. Never acknowledge that you feel somehow culturally different. We would never dream of calling that culture I grew up in anti-Jewish or anti-Semitic even. We just called it Connecticut. But nonetheless, to this day, when I hear my own children belting out a Hebrew song on the city bus, I hesitate. Who is around me? Will people be comfortable? Am I crossing some secret boundary? What do you think that hesitation to be openly Jewish is all about? Do you freely tell people you are Jewish, no matter the setting? Do you urge your children to do the same? Or, like me, have you also practiced the subtle art of closeting your Jewish self? So before I really launch into this sermon, I want to say a word about ground rules here. Basically, because you and I are new to our relationship. There's a general consensus in the rabbinate that during your first year at a new congregation, rabbis should stay on easily agreeable topics from the Bima. I've mentioned this to you before. Talk about love. Give a sermon about friendship. Dwell for 10 minutes on joy. Avoid controversy. The new rabbi should be uplifting, but neutral. Inspiring, but maintain a certain, shall we say, vanilla quality to her words. It's not a bad approach. It's actually good. It allows us time to develop our bond. It shows that you can trust me. I will make you happy. I will bring you comfort. And I do hope that there'll be many sermons that fit into those categories. However, I am sorry to tell you that I am officially declaring that approach null and void for 5781. Because you and I, we don't have that kind of time. We don't have time for me to stand here and offer you flowery platitudes. It would be beneath the moment, and we are in a new wild world together. So I'm going to ask you to go on that journey with me and give it a chance as I take this platform and use it for what is most needed right now in our world, to talk about urgent moral issues in an urgent moral way from a Jewish perspective. Dialogue, discourse, and disagreement are all the heart of Judaism. You don't have to agree with me, and I don't have to agree with you, but I will always respect you, and I ask you to do the same. It's inevitable that something I'll say along the way in our hopefully many years-long relationship will upset you. Maybe it will even just be the way I say something that rubs you wrong. Let me say in advance, I'm sorry. When we talk about anything, I will listen to you fully, deeply, and seriously. But I am hopeful that we will discuss urgent matters together, seriously, because that is the task of the Jewish people, and that is what the moment calls for. So tonight I'm going to talk about anti-Semitism, and I need to. Because in 2018, a shooter walked into the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh and shot 11 Jews in cold blood, seriously wounding many others and traumatizing countless more. I have to talk about it tonight because in 2019, someone walked into a house of worship in Poway with an AR-15 rifle and opened fire. I have to talk about it because after all that, in walked this year, 2020, with all its glory. Any student of Jewish history knew immediately, instantly, that this pandemic would not be good for the Jews. Blaming Jews for disease is a classic trope of anti-Semitism. We were blamed for the bubonic plague. We were accused of poisoning the well water with the goal of sickening non-Jewish population around us. And for this pretend crime, we were punished with very real violence throughout Europe. The other day, I saw a sign from a rally in Ohio with a picture of a rodent wearing a Jewish star. The words underneath read, "This is the real plague." That's why I need to talk about anti-Semitism tonight, because it's been on the rise, and I'm afraid it's only the beginning. The author Dara Horn taught that all anti-Semitism can be broken down into two main categories: the anti-Semitism of Purim and the anti-Semitism of Hanukkah. The anti-Semitism of the Purim story is simple, evil, and clear. Haman's message is, kill all the Jews. That's how he proposes to solve his perceived Jewish problem. We have that strand in our country. That type of anti-Semitism is easy to spot. It's white supremacists publicly gathering and shouting, "Jews will not replace us." It's the Pittsburgh synagogue killer and the Poway murderer. It's open intolerance and disdain of almost all minority groups. It's hateful public rhetoric, both explicit and implied. That type of anti-Semitism, the type we see in the Purim story, persists today. It's why all synagogues need layers of security, including ours, and why Jewish day schools need armed guards outside just so school children can learn. We see it, we name it, we fight against it. It is dreadful, disdainful, and it cannot continue. But that Purim anti-Semitism is not what I'm going to focus on tonight. For us, what we need to ponder is the anti-Semitism in that second category, the anti-Semitism from the Hanukkah story, which is a bit more nuanced. It's about suppressing Jewish behaviors like the Romans did back when they ransacked the temple. That approach says, don't kill the Jews, just stifle Judaism. Diminish our ability and our desire to practice. Create an environment of hostility. Make us feel intimidated and ashamed of our own culture. Don't acknowledge our history. Do diminish our suffering. Always exacerbate our flaws. Create a culture where self-doubt can flourish. That type of thinking is why 8-year-old children already know that they are somehow different, and why 18-year-olds feel a sense of embarrassment about their own people. That's the anti-Semitism that showed up in the Hanukkah story, and it's much trickier. I'll tell you a story from my own life, and it's tame to what's happening now on college campuses. Years ago, when I was in college, I took this amazing class. It was called Minority Global Communities. The professor was brilliant. He offered the most complicated, nuanced depictions of communities around the globe, and I would leave inspired with newfound empathies for people I had never even heard of. And so after many weeks of the class, when we got to the section about us, about the Jews on the syllabus, I was surprised when his central question was, quote, "Is it racist for Jews to want to marry other Jews?" Why in a class designed to elicit sympathy for minority communities around the globe were the Jewish people singled out and questioned with a deeply disturbing accusation? Why in a class about celebrating the preservation of persecuted minorities did a person with great power suggest a painful, offensive, and just wrong argument when it came to our culture only? It took my breath away. That type of anti-Semitism is subtle and slippery and sophisticated. It's harder to identify and painful to acknowledge because it comes from people and institutions we would otherwise agree with. Think about my admired professor. His question was one of the first steps to building that pyramid towards normalizing negative thinking towards Jews. A few weeks ago, a Chabad house was intentionally lit on fire on a college campus. Are you going to tell me that there's no connection between hostility towards Jews and academia an eruption of violence on campus? The subtle embrace of anti-Jewish thinking is the fertilizer for violence. When we hear it, that's when we need to voice up. When it gets to lighting a Jewish house of worship on fire, it's too late. The Anti-Defamation League calls this process the normalization of anti-Semitism. I call it casual anti-Semitism. It's what the historian Deborah Lipstadt called the dinner party anti-Semite. It's when someone tells you a story and says, you know, she's Jewish, but not like rich. It's athletes casually tweeting Hitler quotations to their millions of followers, which happened very recently. It's elected officials reminding us that with the Jews, it's, quote, all about the Benjamins, which happened. It's the proliferance of Holocaust imagery applied to events that pale in comparison in scope and severity to the actual Holocaust. It's the refusal to teach Jewish history in secular schools. It's the mainstreaming of the term Nazi, feminazi. You know how I feel about that one. It's the bludgeoning, relentless thread of negativity and criticism against Israel, as if Israel is the one singular root of all evil in the world. It's the implication that if Israel would just go away, all the problems of the Middle East, nay, the world, might be solved. It's the hashtag that trended this year. Hashtag Jewish privilege. It's the suggestion that Jewish people don't have any real problems because we don't have every problem in the world. It's a billion microaggressions that lead to shame and fear of being outwardly Jewish. That's sort of casual anti-Semitism. It works. It decreases our pride in being Jewish. It makes us less likely to let others know who we really are. It makes us feel shame in our own people. It doesn't really matter in this case if you agree with the criticisms against the Jews or if you vehemently disagree, because the questions, the accusations are still out there, and they creep inside of us, and they sting, and they fester. A member of our congregation mentioned to me that she stopped wearing her Jewish star necklace on Zoom work phone calls because of how she was being perceived. Her apartment background was nice, and she started to wonder, was she becoming the rich Jew? Anti-Semitism is a strange thing. It used to force us to publicly mark ourselves. Now, anti-Semitism diminishes us from doing just that. If you're going to try and logic your way through anti-Semitism, you can't. Give up now. Hatred of any people, including us, is the opposite of logic. Rather, anti-Semitism is a unifying theory of everything, which posits that whatever the most grave problem of a given society is, it's the fault of the Jews, of course. Under communism, we were the capitalists. Under the purity-obsessed Nazis, we were the race contaminators. And under our American narrative, when the greatest sins of our own country are racism and colonialism, the Jews are often painted as racist colonialists. I am certain that under communism, some Jews were capitalists. And I am certain that under Nazism, Jews were from other backgrounds. And I am also certain that in today's day and age, some Jews are racist. And we wish they weren't, and we fight against it. But it is not a coincidence that throughout history, the worst sin a people could make in any given culture has always been assigned to us. That type of thinking, pumped into the public and private spheres, makes it very hard for Jews to want to be Jewish. And it's scary because it works. Standing up against the Purim type of anti-Semitism is obvious, and we will continue to do that. But we also need to notice and fight against this more subversive strain of anti-Jewish thinking. Your children and my children already know that they hesitate to be Jewish in public. Are we willing to become less and less outwardly Jewish? What will be left? I say no more. I say we need to make 5781 a year of Jewish pride. I say go out into this world and wear your Jewish star necklace, show off that chai tattoo. Wave your Israeli flag if you want to, and put that menorah in your window for all to see. Tell people you are Jewish, or that you are raising a Jewish family. When people bring shame, we will respond with pride. When people spread lies, we will respond with facts. When people casually dissuade us from embrace of our Jewish identity, we will respond with Jewish practice. We will do more learning, more community, more religion, have more Jewish experiences. It is our only choice. We must stand up and be counted as Jews if we want Judaism to continue. Like all people, we have flaws. Torah itself emphasizes this point, calling us a stiff-necked people over and over and over again. But that is not all we are, and it's not what we are. We are the ancient people of the book who introduced ideas into our world that animate civilization to this day. We are tzedek tirdof, pursuers of social justice who fight for what's right both within our community and beyond. We are a people who choose to emphasize the value of serious question with complex answer. We are idol smashers, question askers, kugel cookers, Torah readers, mitzvah doers, camp goers, and Jewish song singers. We are a collective of survivors, immigrants, and refugees from countries from all over the world, from Germany to Iran, from Lithuania to Iraq, from Yemen to Argentina, from Ethiopia and beyond. We are the descendants of a tiny group of slaves from which emancipated centuries of thought, tradition, and culture. The very persistence of our existence is remarkable. The Holocaust decimated a third of our people. We are likely never to recover our population, but we are the ones who are still here. What are we going to do with our time on this earth? Be intimidated and shamed into diminishing our Judaism? Or stand up and be counted as part of our ancient, persecuted, yet persevering people? The choice is ours for 5781. I intend to let my Jewish flag fly high for all to see, and I hope you'll join me. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will.
Amen. Yasher koach.
We continue with Ashamnu, page 82.
Ashamnu, Baganu, Baganu, Gazalnu, Gazalnu, Dibarnu Dofi, Dibarnu Dofi, Lai, 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 Hevinu, Hevinu, Vehirshanu, Vehirshanu, Zadnu, Zadnu, חמסנו, חמסנו, טפלנו שקר, טפלנו שקר, יאי לי לי יעצנו רע, כיזבנו, כיזבנו, לצנו, לצנו, מרדנו, מרדנו, ניאצנו, ניאצנו, שררנו, שררנו, אבינו, אבינו, פשענו, פשענו, צררנו, צררנו, כישינו עורף, כישינו עורף, לילה, 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 רשענו, רשענו, שחטנו, שחטנו, תיעבנו, תיעבנו, טעינו, טעינו, תיתנו, תיתנו, לילה, לילה,
Please be seated. We turn to Al Chet, page 86.
החטא שחטאנו לפניך בזדון ובשגגה, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בדיבור פה.
The ways we have wronged you by hardening our hearts, and the harm we have caused you in your world through careless speech.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בכחש וכזב, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך ברכילות.
The ways we have wronged you by judging others unfairly, and harm we have caused in your world through disrespect to parents and teachers.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בווידוי פה, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בהונאת ריח.
The ways we have wronged you through violence and abuse, and harm we have caused in your world through dishonesty in business.
ועל כולם אלו הסליחות, סלח לנו, מחל לנו, כפר לנו. ועל כולם אלו סליחות, סלח לנו, מחל לנו, סלח לנו, מחל לנו, כפר לנו.
The ways we have wronged you openly and secretly, and harm we have caused in your world by losing self-control.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בגילוי עריות, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך במאכל ובמשתה.
The ways we have wronged you by giving in to our hostile impulses, and harm we have caused in your world through greed and exploitation.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בהלצון, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בנטיית גרון.
The ways we have wronged you by hating without cause, and harm we have caused in your world through offensive speech.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בלשון הרע, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בצרות עין.
For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, and lead us to atonement.
ועל כולם אלו הסליחות, סלח לנו, מחל לנו,
Shema Kolenu. Page 100. God of forgiveness, we come before you in need of compassion. At Sinai, you spoke words that guide our lives to this day, but our ancestors lost faith in you, lost hope in their Redeemer. With one voice, they had promised, we will do and obey. And yet, stiff-necked, they broke their word, adoring an idol of gold. How wondrous your compassion in the face of their rebellion, your forgiveness in that moment of human weakness and doubt. We too have broken promises to you. We too worship the work of our own hands. We too make of gold a god, and we too forsake your word. At Sinai, you revealed 13 attributes of mercy. These aspects of your nature, your very essence, we now recall. Adonai, Adonai, God, compassionate, gracious, endlessly patient, loving, and true, showing mercy to the 1000th generation, forgiving evil, defiance, and wrongdoing, granting pardon. Page 106, Kianu Amecha.
To
So forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement. Our thoughts now turn to those who are in need of healing, healing of the body, healing of the mind, healing of the soul, the neshama. If you would like to make a Misha Berach for somebody, please say their name now. Misha Berach Avotenu ve'imotenu, Avraham, Yitzhak, ve'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, ve'Leah, Hu yivarech et hacholim. May God send them a swift renewal of body and spirit. And together we say,
Amen.
Amen. We rise for Avinu Malkeinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu v'Hanenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu v'Hanenu, ki ein manu masim. Asei manu, tzedaka v'chesed. Asei manu, tzedaka v'chesed, ve'oshienu.
We welcome to the Bima Jill Wilkinson, one of our co-presidents.
Hi, my name is Jill Wilkinson, and I am honored to be serving for the first time as the congregation's co-president and to be giving this year's High Holiday speech. Before I get started, first, I'd like to take this opportunity to warmly welcome Rabbi Fursko. We are so excited that you said yes. You've already brought so many thoughtful and creative ideas to our temple, and we look forward to what's to come. Thank you and Cantor Bach for the beautiful Rosh Hashanah services last week, and for all you both have done to make these high holiday services as special as they have been under such difficult circumstances. You both care so much about our community, and for that we are grateful. For those who don't know me, I'd like to introduce you to my family, our connection to the Village Temple, and what it means to us. My family and I have been members for over 15 years, and I have served on the board for over 7 years. My husband has been on the building committee. Our 3 daughters have all celebrated their bat mitzvahs at the temple and have been part of our esteemed children's choir. What I feel most fortunate about is to have gotten to know so many of you in the congregation, as well as our incredibly talented clergy and staff. Now I know this is typically the point in the high holiday services where people would get up, stretch their legs outside of the auditorium at Cooper Union, and I get it. And in COVID times, you now have the opportunity to be even more discreet by simply putting me on mute or stepping away from your computer without anyone seeing you. But I urge you to take these next few minutes to stay where you are and listen to what I have to say. The Village Temple is a unique synagogue. We have a congregation of roughly 200 member families. It's not a big number. A small-sized clergy, just one rabbi, one cantor, one executive director, a religious school director, teachers, and custodian. That's it. It's a small shop, no bells and whistles. But because of our size, we have the benefit of an intimate community. We are very much that small town feel in an otherwise very large city where one can often feel they are getting swallowed up, but not here. What's so special about our temple, and which is why we've stayed, is that when I walk in those doors on East 12th Street, I know people and they know me. I am greeted with smiles and warm wishes. People ask me how Andrew, Anna, Ella, and Emily all are doing. It's like when you go off to college at a large university. You seek out the opportunities to make it feel smaller, like a club or a fraternity or a sorority, so it's not so overwhelming. It's the same with our synagogue. We live in the largest and arguably the greatest city in the world, yet we are fortunate to have a shul that has built a close-knit community for all of us, where we can connect with one another, where we have a rabbi and a cantor that know us when we walk in the door. I want to share a personal story with you, which hit home for me as I was writing this speech. 2 years ago, my husband learned he had cancer. I did not share this information with anyone outside of our immediate family. We were scared as we marched toward the date of his 4+ hour surgery. The day before his surgery, I decided to take a walk to help clear my head. My destination was Bagel Bob's on University Place, but I think in the back of my mind, I really had a different destination in mind. And as I walked down University Place towards 12th Street, I decided to stop in at the temple, unannounced. I walked up the steps to find the rabbi seated at a table with a couple of other members of the staff. As soon as she saw me, she took one look at my face. I didn't have to say a word. She ushered me into her office, where I proceeded to break down in tears, explaining what was happening. I didn't have to make an appointment ahead of time or worry she wouldn't have time for me. She was there to provide comfort to me in my time of need. She gave me a mishparach charm to hold on to during surgery the next day, which I did. I squeezed it tight all day long at Memorial Sloan Kettering. She called to check in multiple times in the days following the surgery. Fortunately, the surgery was a success and he is cancer-free, and that is all in the rearview mirror for us now. The point of my story is to illustrate what a special place we have. It's not a factory or a large machine. It's a special place of worship, spiritual guidance, and source of comfort. And I feel blessed that it was there for us in my family's darkest hour. It's been there for us in our city's darkest hours of late, and we wanted to continue to be there for us always. Because we are a small shul, we have the challenges of keeping up with our everyday financial needs, which is why I'm standing here today. It's important to remember that while dues and religious school fees are the largest components of our income, it represents only about 2/3 of the actual operating costs of the temple. The difference is subsidized by your generous contributions. Now I know that standing here appealing for contributions in the middle of the largest modern day pandemic is awkward at best. But it's important to remember that this year has brought incredible financial loss to so many, including in our own temple community. Your contributions will allow us to offer membership dues and religious school fees to those who otherwise cannot afford it this year. Our synagogue's values state that we offer spiritual worship regardless of financial situation. This year, more than any other, that couldn't be more important. If you can afford to make a contribution, you will be supporting your fellow congregants so they can maintain their membership. Also, if your company participates in a matching program, please seek that out. I work for a large company that does match my contributions. I encourage each of you, where circumstances fit, to look into whether yours does too. This appeal is about a recognition of the importance and value of synagogue life and what it offers year-round. I, along with the board of directors, cannot thank you enough for your generosity that you have provided through your financial support, your volunteerism, and all of your hard work. Please continue to support us so that Rabbi Fursko, Cantor Bach, and the rest of our incredible staff can continue to provide the wonderful Shabbat services, religious school classes, holiday celebrations, and social events, but especially to be there for all of us during our times of need. On behalf of my family, we wish you Shana Tova, Tika Tevu. May you and your families and those you love be inscribed in the book of life. Healthy and happy New Year to you all.
We turn to Aleinu, page 116. Please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנוכם וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד ושמו אחד ושמו אחד.
Our thoughts turn to Kaddish. We remember the loved ones we've lost recently or at this time in years gone by. We mourn the recent passing of Sandra Engelson, Alice Chernick, Richard Mallon, Joseph Eny, David Eny, Jerome Hames, Marcia Burnham, Ralph Suskin, Robert Haskell, Fred Fenig, Sarah Cox, Jerome Sadler, Adina Epstein-Bialis, Mervyn Vinegar, Phyllis Morgan, Robert Amador, and John Craig. We observe the yahrzeits for Milton Arbiter, Sandy Gaines, Robert Heiss, Helen Polevsky, Arthur Solomon, Herman Schwartz, Stan Stone, Tal Weiss, and Elizabeth Woloshin. To those names we add, we rise for Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalmad yivrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayachon u'v'yom echon u'v'chayeh d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman karim v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'almei al-maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei d'kudusha b'richu, le'ela birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran ba'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama Rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'imru
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael ve'el kol yoshvei tevel v'imru Amen. May the source of peace bestow peace on all who mourn, and may we be a source of comfort to all who are bereaved. And together we say, Amen.
Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael
So a few announcements. Just reminding everyone, this is a fast holiday, but if you are in any way ill, if you are pregnant, you are forbidden to fast. If you are under 13, do whatever you want. You will always do anyways. For everyone else, Som Kol, easy fast. We will be here again in the morning to spend the whole day. We have a really rich day of services, adult education, and a really beautiful, stunning Ne'ilah ending for the day. So we hope you'll join us there. I turn now to the priestly benediction. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
Ken Yehi Ratzon.
May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
Ken Yehi Ratzon.
May God's light shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
Ken Yehi Ratzon.
May you feel God's presence within you always, and may you find peace.
Our closing song, Return Again, and Hashivenu, page 127. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return to what you are, return to who you are, return to where you are born and reborn again. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Ashivenu, Ashivenu, Adonai Elecha, Vena Ashuva, Vena Ashuva.
Tzom Kol Gemar Chatima Tova.
Tzom Kol.